Hi, I'm John Kociuba, contributor of Cauldron Anthology, and you're listening to True North Country Comics Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Jonathan Kociuba about his artistic contribution to Cauldron, Forbidden Appetite's anthology on Kickstarter. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel. Based in Toronto, Jonathan Kociuba is an illustrator known for his space pirate character and collaborations with the urban ninja squadron of street artists. He frequently illustrates album covers and gig posters for bands, and is a lead singer for the indie rock band Summer and Youth. His published efforts include Toronto Comics, Osgood as Gold, Paperhead, Death Blazers, and Grotesque Comics. Jonathan's most recent effort is his artistic contribution to Cauldron Forbidden Appetites. Cauldron Forbidden Appetites is a deluxe, high-quality, archival hardcover anthology that's described as Art House meets Grindhouse. Published by Raid Press as an homage to the creepy and airy magazines of the past, this anthology collects the edgy contemporary supernatural tales found in Cauldron magazine into one complete offering for mature readers. So, without further ado, here's my chat with Jonathan Kociuba about his artistic contribution to Cauldron Forbidden Appetites anthology on Kickstarter. So, Jonathan Kociuba, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.
Cool. Yeah, I always appreciate when you take time out of your day to chat. So this is great. But before we get started with all the questions, I'd like to ask you, what are you reading today? What's on your bedside reading table?
Oh, right now, I wouldn't have imagined this in a long while, but Transformers, Dale Warren Johnson. Yeah, it's amazing.
Pardon my ignorance. Is that the current run that's going on right now?
Yeah, it's the current run right now. It's, I think, Skybound. Yeah, Skybound. Robert Kirkman's group, they are now in charge of the Hasbroverse. Like right now, it looks like they're doing a pretty good job.
That's cool. Good stuff. Well, I'm talking to you because I've been talking to a couple other of your colleagues who worked on the Cauldron project, the Cauldron magazine, and I understand that you also have been participating in this new anthology, this hardcover bound on Kickstarter. I wonder if you could talk a wee bit about your contribution to that particular project.
I'm involved in two stories. One where I'm doing the art, and Casey Parsons is actually, I think it's his writing debut of a story we did together, a sci-fi story. It was really cool working with him. It's funny because we both met because we were both in the Gotham Central. We met before, but we were in the Gotham Central art battle, and he beat me in the final four. And it was kind of a cool door open where we basically started to kind of talk more and more. And we collaborated on this project, and it was a lot of fun to kind of discuss our influences in horror sci-fi. And the second one is a short story that I did with no dialogue, because I guess I'm an artist. All I can describe is basically it's like a horror sci-fi version of I guess you could say what if you were toys and God was playing with you in some way, like a figure, so that, and how horrific that would be and stuff. So it kind of deals with that kind of concept.
Oh, very intriguing. Now, I remember when we last chatted, you were working on Grotesque Comics. So I'm wondering, do you have an affinity for horror or tinge type of comic books, like creepy and eerie?
Yeah, I do. I find that what's really cool about it is I'm really intrigued by, with horror and monsters and all those things, it's really fun to draw because it really stimulates your imagination a lot, and there's really cool mystery involved. And there's also a lot of fun. Because I think that's another big component with drawing stuff. I think there's a fun aspect about it, which is really cool. With Grotesque Comics, it kind of goes, and I think that's also kind of why I kind of was drawn to Cauldron as well.
Cool, good stuff. Now we've been talking about Cauldron, but I want to ask you: do you have any other projects on the go? What do you have on your drawing pad, so to speak?
We are debuting a book called Colony. what we're doing right now is we are planning on doing a webcomic, but we are going to introduce it to the public in a 30-page comic that's also going to be available at the time online. Then we're going to constantly like update it and tell the story that way.
Well, can you give us a hint of what it's about?
What I can say is it's going to be about, it's basically what we learned in Flytrap, and we're taking the stuff we learned from Flytrap and we're creating a whole new story from the inspiration of that stuff, where we're dealing with this kind of mutated world. Our main character is an antagonist that's infiltrating a cult, and it's a story about a lot of grays and stuff. And it's really good. So it's a very spooky story. I don't want to give up too much away. That's
Yeah.
So I'm trying to give snap words and describe it in a fashion where I don't know is the best way I can describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And what sort of timeline are you looking at for this new venture?
We are going to have by May 11th TCAF. We're going to debut in TCAF.
Nice.
May 11th.
Very good.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask you, with all the different projects you have in the go right now, I'm wondering, what is your go-to tool for creating art these days?
My go-to tool is the iPad. I basically been using the iPad for 2 years. It's really changed my life a lot because I basically first started off drawing in an art table, and then I started to like evolve and brought a portable desk, and then I started drawing on a masonite board that I would keep in my car because I'm a father too, and I'm also want to be with them. And so I found this way was a great way for me to like draw and still be present in people's lives a lot of ways instead of being in a room locked in and such. So now with the iPad, what I do is I'll have it with me at all times. And if I'm stuck, like for instance, if I'm waiting for somebody in my car, I'll start drawing. And sometimes I'll get a panel done. I'll come early to work and I'll draw. And so basically, like whenever I have kind of free time, I'll like work on the comic book.
Nice. Very good. Now, we last met up at the Artsy Fartsy Comic-Con, which is a great name for a show. So I wanted to ask you, do you have your convention schedule firmed up for this year?
Not really, because we're taking a whole different approach. We are going to like assess everything after TCAF. So at the time being this year, for sure we're going TCAF. And also these dates are not set in stone, but there are certain other venues where we also wanted to start to like do tabling. They're not convention events, but just basically being present. Like there's art galleries and other places that I'm talking to currently that we want to plan events.
Nice. It's a little early, as you say, to get everything written down on paper for schedules, but it's nice to have a view of where you want to go. So it sounds like you've got things on track. As a professional in the comic book field, I want to ask you, what's that one piece of advice that you would pass along to someone who wants to make their own book?
I'd say do it. I'd say what makes people, I guess, what pulls people back is they think what they're doing is me good. I'd say just do your comic book as best as you can do it. And it's going to be bad. And then the next one's going to be better. And just remember that. So you have to start from worse to better to better than that. Just always be better than the last thing you did. And I think that's the best way to go about doing it. Instead of comparing yourself to other people or other things, like the best way for me to do it is like, and this is the whole idea with rough copy and stuff, is your first approach is always the most terrible one. And you just improve from those things. And I think the inches and inches, it makes a big deal. It goes a long way.
Okay, that's cool. Now, I know this is I'm a little bit late to ask you this question since we're already in the new year, but have you set any goals for yourself as an artist this year? Is there anything you want to achieve that you didn't get done last year?
I want to draw more comic pages. And so I think with this new webcomic that we're going to do, I'm going to be put on a schedule, I think now that's going to be much more healthier. Basically what we're trying to do right now is the conflict was, I guess as an indie artist, is your approach whenever you go to tables, you're always kind of starting from square one with an audience. And so it's very difficult to like sell your issue 5 when they haven't met you yet and they want your issue 1. And so our new approach for now, and my new approach, is basically to have this one book, physical, tangible book, which is kind of like the ambassador to the website. That's going to be kind of my introduction to things. And I think my goal by the end of the year is I wanted to have a trade paperback done. I want to have a thick graphic novel with this webcomic book by the end of it. And that's what I'm looking forward to.
Lots of good stuff there for this year coming up, that's for sure. So with all the projects you got on the go right now and in the future, where do you recommend people go online to find out about you?
Go on my Instagram. You can see my Instagram at just look up Jonathan Kociuba, and my Instagram name is j.s.kaye. You can find me there. Find me on Facebook, and I will give you updates when we update our Grotesque Comics website.
Sounds good. Well, Jonathan, those really are all the questions I have for you, but I'm wondering, is there something I didn't ask that you want to get across in this interview?
Yes, me and Sam actually have been working on what you would call a comic book. We released an 8-page sample last TCAF, just like a free thing we gave around. And I think we're gonna figure out what to do. But it's basically a bootleg comic book, and it's called Satanic Verses, and it's basically Edward Scissorhands in the Freddy Krueger universe. And it's kind of a mashup of all these the characters that are involved with like Beetlejuice, because Winona Ryder, because Edward Scissorhands. We're basically doing this crazy thing where we're like trying to find logic where Johnny Depp's character in Freddy Krueger is the same character to Edward Scissorhands and stuff. And we're basically going to continue that. And I think I'll give you an update on what we finish that project. We don't know what to do with it. I think we're going to do something fun with it because obviously there are properties that exist. That's also what I'm working on too.
Thanks to Jonathan for the chat. You can discover more about Jonathan Kociuba on Instagram at j.s.kaye. And you can check out Cauldron Forbidden Appetites on Kickstarter. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to and like this podcast on Apple Podcasts. And please check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website. True North Country Comics is now on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel and hit the notification button. And remember, you can follow along at True North Country Comics on most social media sites. Please send any and all feedback to John at TrueNorthCountryComics.com. Thanks for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2024.